um, which is a very interesting, it's in the Talmud. It's in the Mishnah, which is the first part of the Talmud. So there's two parts to the Talmud. There's the Mishnah, which looks at the Torah musically and takes something in there that's a problem and then sort of gives a teaching on it. Now, one of the most common ones is probably like um, it says in the Torah on Shabbat you're not supposed to work. Okay, it says on Shabbat you stop working, and it talks about that, and they say what is work, and then in the Mishnah, the first part, they basically list 39 kinds of work. They say these are the 39 kinds of work. The rabbis figured it out because they looked at the Torah and they saw where work was done, mainly about building the Mishkan, which was the tent that they carried across the desert before, the temple was built when they were in the desert where they did sacrifices. And they said it's lighting a fire, putting out a fire, sewing, stitching, hammering. I mean, they give a whole list of what they consider this special kind of work that you're not supposed to be on Shabbat. That's in the Mishnah. And then the second half of the Talmud is called the Gemara, and that is when the rabbis start, other rabbis, over centuries, and they keep adding their questions and discussions, say, well, wait a minute, you're not allowed to light a fire or put out a fire. But what if it's Shabbat and your house is on fire? Are you allowed to put it out? Or are you supposed to let everything burn down? They ask all these what if questions and then they argue or debate and then they come to an answer. Pirkei Avot, which literally means chapter, a parak is a chapter of the fathers, is unique in that it's just a collection of wisdom from the rabbis of that time. It's a collect, and which would probably be like 130 BCE or AD to 200 or like in that 150 to 235 or something when they lived or whatever. I mean, I'm not exactly sure. Actually, it's a little later. It's like 200, no, 135 Rabbi Akiba. Yeah, like 135 to 225 CE or AD. So these rabbis had these amazing sayings and they compiled them, but they're all very male oriented or they're universal oriented. But I want us to look at them on two levels. How do they apply to us as Jews, and how do we feel as women about them, and how do they apply to women maybe differently than they would apply to rabbis or scholars who have nothing to do all day but study or judge cases or things like that. I think, in this elite world of scholarship, the men were, doing all the studying and the women were basically running the home, maybe even running some businesses. Though a lot of these rabbis, I think some of them they worked as well and lived in the real practical world, as opposed to some of the rabbis sort of lived in this, rarefied thing, even though their thinking was very beautiful and lofty and ideal, and it's what we do adhere to today and we teach. But it starts with this very interesting introduction. So, Susan Ehrlich, would you like to read the introduction? Is it big enough for you, or should I make it bigger?
Okay.
Is
Okay.
it big enough?
Yeah. Yeah. All Israel have a share in the world to come, as it is stated in Isaiah. And your people are tzaddikim, righteous. They shall inherit the land forever. They are the branch of my planting, the work of my hands, in which I take pride.
Okay, so what does that mean? All Israel have a share in the world to come. All Israel have a share in the world to come. What does that mean?
Um,
Yeah,
the world to come is the afterlife.
okay.
Along.
Olam haba, right,
So what's interesting is not long ago, we read Korah some time ago.
right.
And this struck me then, are all Israelites righteous or do they become righteous? Um,
Right.
so here they're saying, all Israel. Uh, it seems like they're taking maybe Korah's stance. That's a stretch, but it Korach was after leadership,
Right.
but he did say we are all holy.
Okay, psychologically, if I say to you, doing this to the whole class, you're holy, you're a tzaddik, you're a righteous person, you have a portion in the world of paradise, you are a branch of God's planting, you are the pride of God. How does that affect you psychologically, or even think if you spoke that way to a child, what would be the result, Merle?
Think it's a wonderful one. You know, Miriam, who was in our Torah study before, used to say she would compliment a child all the time. I think it's a positive psychological, uh, very positive.
Okay, just a second. Merle, go ahead.
I'm thinking it's very positive. I'm also thinking that you should feel good, even if you said it to a child. The child should feel good about whatever it is they're doing that's being complimented. I'm also looking at this and thinking the branch of my planting isn't just planting trees.
No, right.
It's planting whatever it is you plant, businesses, life, whatever.
Okay. Yes, Cindy?
I'm seeing it presenting an expectation of something you then have to live up to.
Yes, I think it's in a way saying, this is who you are, because now we're going to give you all of these ways to fulfill this title or this role, because it's over and over and over again, it's a list of how to behave properly in the world. So they're saying, you have this portion and you are righteous. You shall inherit the land forever, they say. But the tzaddikim will talk about the land, but you could lose, you have a share in the world to come. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get it if you don't behave in a certain way. We could also say, this is waiting for you, but you have to act like a tzaddik, or you have to act in a righteous way in order to claim your place. It's like, oh, we have a space for you at the university, but you've got to graduate high school first. You can't just do nothing and get there. So I think it's interesting. Okay, now when they say all Israel, do we assume this includes women?
Does it include women? Of course, if it's all Israel.
Okay. Though, though in in the Torah, they talk about Yisrael and Yaakov. Yaakov was Israel. Israel was the name of Jacob changed, and Yaakov was his name before. And I don't know about in this time, but Yaakov was usually considered the women and Yisrael the men. And if you know about Orthodox girls' schools in LA, does anybody know what they're called? Beis Yaakov. They're called Beis Yaakov, Beit
Oh.
Yaakov. They're called House of Jacob. So I wonder, I haven't read anything, but it says Yisrael. I hope we're all Yisrael, or are you Yaakov? And I think in the, hold on a second. I want to look at the giving of the Torah, in Bashalach. I just want to see, because I think they mention both in that. And I just want to double check. I'm going to look right here. When they get the 10 Commandments, the Shalach, and wait. Oh no, it's not Bashalach, it's Yitro, sorry, Yitro. Okay. Hold on. Okay, so here it says, if anybody has a Tanakh, Susan Ehrlich, do you have one?
I do like different ones.
All right, doesn't matter. Okay, it says this is right before the Mount Sinai, the Revelation. It's chapter 19 in the book of Exodus, it's Exodus 19. It says, on the third new moon after the Israelites had gone forth in the land of Egypt. So it only took them 3 months, by the way, to get to Sinai. On the very day they entered the wilderness of Sinai, then they journeyed, da 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 da. The Lord called to him and said, thus you shall say to the house of Jacob and declare to the children of Israel. So, house of Jacob and Beit Yaakov and Bnei Israel. And so, does he talk? Does that mean that women are separate from men? Yes, they actually tell the men and women to separate, not have sex or whatever, to cleanse themselves. So, there's a differentiation there. I don't know what the commentary. Do you have
I have 19, but I don't, you didn't say what,
19
19?
verse 3?
Okay,
Exodus 19.
and Moses went up to God, the Lord called to him from the mountain, saying, thus shall you say to the house of Jacob, and declare to the children of Israel.
Yeah. Now does Eitz Chaim say anything about house of Jacob in Israel in there?
No,
Okay.
it just skips, it goes to,
Okay. So
house of Jacob. The Midrash interprets this as referring to wives,
see?
traditionally the keepers of the home. They, more than the husbands, will determine whether the spirit of Sinai fills their home.
Right. So they're mentioned specifically in the Sinai giving of the Ten Commandments, but here all Israel have a share to the world to come. I don't know. Are they talking about men and women, or only the Israel and Beit Yaakov are the women and they don't have a share? So it's interesting to think about, we want to be included, but are we? And we'll see a couple times they're not particularly respectful of women. So we're going to look at that. Any comments or thoughts about that so far? I thought it was interesting. Okay, hold on. I have to hold on. Okay, so this is how it starts. And I want us to, what is the purpose of telling us this? So, Cindy, why don't you read?
Moses received the Torah from Sinai and gave it over to Joshua. Joshua gave it over to the elders to the prophets, and the prophets gave it over to the men of the great assembly. They, the men of the great assembly, would always say these three things: be cautious in judgment, establish many pupils, and make a safety fence around the Torah.
Okay, so let's start with why do we need this lineage of where it came from? What is the purpose of that? What is the value of that, do you think?
It establishes a chain of authority.
Right. It tells you that, this is from God. The Torah, it was handed down. So whatever it says, this is the law, this is the rule, and this is the way that, Orthodox Jews believe. Some conservative Jews, most Reformed Jews don't think that the Torah literally came from Sinai. They think that it was compiled and written by very wise men or whatever. But this establishes its source, its holiness. And the men of the Great Assembly were, what's interesting is the elders were some of the tribal elders who came, you know, out of the desert. And the prophets we know were appointed by God. And the men of the Great Assembly were actually scholars and leaders. And there didn't have to be any lineage. It had to be your worth. And it's starting to become a little more democratic with the men of the Great Assembly. However, it's men of the Great Assembly. There were no women at this time. And they would say three things: be cautious in judgment, establish many pupils, and make a fence around the Torah. So these are the very first teachings. What do you think they mean? What does this mean, make a safety fence around the Torah?
Protect the Torah
How?
by doing whatever the Torah says.
But why is that a safety fence?
Well, I think it's language for making sure the Torah is followed and that it's taken care of.
Some teachers say that a safety fence means like you make things a little more strict than it actually is written. It's a little
Okay.
more strict just in case. So in terms of like the Shabbat laws of work, they added, then these rabbis said, well, we're going to add that you can't touch a pen. You can't even touch something that might cause you to break the Shabbat, the Shabbos. So we're going to say, don't even touch it. It's like untouchable. Don't touch a key. Don't, because you might forget and then carry it, because carrying is one thing that you're not supposed to do. Don't touch a match. Don't have knives around where you're cutting. So they like actually said you should, in order to prevent yourself from breaking a law, you should be stricter. So these guys are very strict about that. Be cautious in judgment. What about this for women? How does this apply to women, and how does it apply to men differently, do you think? How would it be different? Or is there a different?
Well,
Cindy,
you're not supposed to gossip.
okay. You're not supposed to gossip. And I don't know that men gossip as much as women, or they're not, because it seems like these men for sure aren't that interested in human behavior. Do you know what I mean? They're not looking at it. So be cautious in judgment of judging other people. Also, you're, but it could also mean what else? What else could it mean being cautious? It could be judging other people, but what else? What else is it saying?
Well, it could be legally too.
Could be legally. Be cautious in judgment. And if any of you know, in the book of Leviticus in the Holiness Code, they talk about something very interesting. Do not benefit the poor person or the rich person, because it's like you have to be fair. You can't judge someone because, oh my God, they're poor, and so give them more than a rich person, which I think we're tempted to do. I mean, I think, if we say, oh my God, I mean, I wouldn't give him much. He's rich. He doesn't need it. Or why, if he loses, it's no big deal. But if she loses, she's a widow, she has children, it's terrible or whatever. So they're saying these guys, this is like the first, you're going to see an evolution of the different personalities. But these men of the Great Assembly, what are their concerns in terms of the way to live your life or to set up Jewish society? What are their concerns? Merle.
People may not follow whatever the rules are.
I think they're being very strict. Be
Yeah.
cautious in judgment. Don't go right or left, go straight down the line. Establish many pupils. So study and teach. We need to transmit, because, we have all this legacy, and make a safety fence. So it seems like, to be honest, they remind me of like Puritans. You know what I mean? The Puritans, who are very literal and very by the book, and the Scarlet Letter and that whole thing, they seem to be very much strict. This is like this generation are the men of the Great Assembly. Now, the men of the Great Assembly did not live during the time of the Talmud, right around the Talmud. They lived earlier. They lived actually in Babylonia, is where they first heard of after the destruction of the first temple, when they're in Babylonia, and there's no altar, there's no temple, there's no way to sacrifice, there's no way to connect to God. And the men of the Great Assembly are actually the ones who wrote the Amidah, our Amidah, that was considered the prayer, because they said we're going to we can switch to prayer from just sacrifice. So, if you think about it, they're now living in a pagan land in Babylonia. And maybe for that reason, they needed to be very strict and make a safety fence around the Torah, because, oh my God, we're surrounded by pagan worship, idol worship, Babylon, gods, and this and that. And so perhaps that's why they're be cautious in judgment about being a Jew, even. Establish many pupils. We have to preserve our Judaism in this foreign land, because that's where the men of the Great Assembly were. They weren't in Judea or Judah. That's where they were. So they were trying to preserve everything. And so when you think of it that way, their strictness is kind of like self-preservation. Do you see how that would be the case? Okay. So now, though, we go to Shimon the righteous, and right away, when you say Shimon HaTzadik, the righteous, what does that tell you about him without even hearing what he's going to say?
They say he's the last surviving member of the Great Assembly. So
Right.
he's a conduit then for
He's
this.
a conduit, but the fact that he's called the righteous, Shimon HaTzadik,
Well, he got
tells.
to outlive the others because he was righteous.
But what kind of personality do you think would be called the righteous one?
Well,
What kind of person?
he probably
Wrong.
obeyed all
Strong?
the rules.
What?
He obeyed all the rules.
Really? Because it's tzaddik. What is tzaddik? Think about the word tzaddik. Tzaddik,
Right.
tzedakah.
It's also kind of holy too, isn't it?
Holy. And I think he has more of a heart than a head. There's something about being a tzaddik. There's righteousness seems, I think it can't, well, let's discuss this. I think righteousness comes from the heart. Do you think it comes from the heart or the mind? What do you think?
Both.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Can you be righteous without having a heart, do you think? Having a kind heart, an open heart, a compassionate heart. Cindy,
Well,
you think so?
I think so, because if you're just mentally thinking, not from your heart, but just logically, these are the things I need to do. So the person might do the right thing
Right.
because it's written and he or she was told to do it.
Is that being righteous?
If you're still saying, I'm going to do these things for the right reason.
That's interesting. Okay. Merle, what do you think?
Well, I'm thinking the same thing as Cindy. I mean, if you're I may have to leave this class because we have a friend who may die any minute, and I have to get over there and help her kids. But the reality is if she wasn't a close friend and my mind wasn't on this constantly, since she took ill, I don't know. I think my mind is managing what I have to do for my own self and family, as well as taking care of her. So I think that my mind is a piece of this.
Okay. So
It's not just my heart saying, I want to do this, but something up there is telling me what to do. I may not be using the right language, but I think you know where I'm coming from.
Okay, so let's look at what he says, Shimon, the righteous. Read it, Merle. Number 2.
Number 2, Shimon the righteous was among the last surviving members of the Great Assembly. He would say, the world stands on 3 things: Torah, service of God, and deeds of kindness.
Okay, so that's really Al HaTorah, Al Avodah, Al Gemilut Chasadim. And the service of God, that's a literal translation, but it means prayer. Prayer.
Okay.
Service of God is prayer. But, in the temple, service of God, there was no prayer. It was a sacrifice, which was in place of prayer. But today we see it as prayer on Torah, prayer, and deeds of kindness. They say the world stands on 3 things. These are the 3 pillars of, what does that mean? The world stands on 3 things. What does that mean? Do you think? The world stands. What does that mean? The world stands on 3 things.
Those are the principles.
The principles or the world, the world stands on 3 things. The world is held up, or our world is held up, or is elevated, or is held in place by 3 things: Torah, prayer, and good deeds. And when the word Torah is there, what do you think they mean by Torah? study of Torah, following Torah? What do you think?
All of it.
Mitzvahs from the Torah, prayer. So I see it
Following
as
following the Torah.
study, spirituality, and good deeds. Okay. So is this possible for women then? Was this possible for women?
Then
Yeah. Let's
Women
start.
couldn't study Torah then.
They
Right.
couldn't study.
They couldn't study. They could pray, but you know where they were at the top of the balcony or behind or whatever, and they did good deeds. So if you were going to say the world stands on three things for women, for the mothers, for the daughters, for the sisters, for the little girls, that would make it a beautiful world or a meaningful world, what three things would you say? What would your three things be? Helen, do you have?
I think study is part of it.
Mhm.
And then women have a different kind of a sense of love.
So love would be love. There's no love here.
Love has to be in there too.
Okay, so study, love, and
Prayer.
study, love, and prayer. So deeds of kindness, would that come out of the love?
Yes.
Maybe. Okay, anybody else? Cindy, do you have any other three that you would pick? Or even for today, if you were going to say the world stand today in this terrible climate, what would be the three things that would hold up or make the world sustainable? As a woman or as a Jew or as an American? I don't
Well,
care.
deeds of kindness, I think, is eternal.
Good, yes.
Um, Honesty,
Honesty. Okay.
and following your values.
Following your, but what values?
Yeah.
Well, again, doing the right thing, kind of using your head to determine what's the right thing, not necessarily what you want to do.
Okay. But I hear what you're saying. I just think that today people have a lot of different ideas of what the right thing is.
Right.
So a
You
lot
know
of
what,
controversy.
for you, what would the three things be? Okay, well, you said them. You said them. Okay. Panina, what three things would you think the world would stand on today?
Okay, first of all, I wouldn't separate the men from the women.
Okay, well
Let's
then just you. Well, okay, for you
I think it's
personally.
important to realize that the women, they were with the children in the house till the child was really a grown up, and they had the actual duty to teach the children because the men were out working and they were with the kids all day long.
These men were studying, but yeah, but
Okay,
I
studying,
know that.
working.
So
Yeah,
for you, what would
what
be,
I'm trying, let me finish.
okay,
And I think that the whole idea of Torah, the root of the word Torah means teaching. It comes from the word more also,
right?
a teacher, and haro, that's the root, and it means to teach. You teach children all day long, you with them anyhow. So you start by the home, like they say, charity begins at home. You have to start when they were little. And the main idea is that the Torah was there, is how you teach it.
Yeah, but you're not
And
answering my question.
what is your
Your
question
question
again?
is, what three things do you think the world should stand on today?
Okay, I don't know. I know what it was told to stand at. Torah
I know. Are they the same? Torah, Avodah, Gemilut,
and
Hasadim?
Gemilut, absolutely.
The
You
same
first of
three.
all, yes, the same three stands. First of all, you have to learn how to teach it the right way in a positive way in order for the person to give it to the next one in a positive way. It starts from childhood, from the beginning. And the mother is actually the ones that really in the
I
beginning.
know. This is not, okay, thank you. I know
Okay,
that.
so I think
Susan,
it's a three together, put together, and it's not going to come to, how would I say, to sustain, to be sustainable, unless everybody, men and women, practice the same idea. that first of all you have to
Okay,
teach.
okay, I heard you. I want to stop you.
Okay.
I want to hear from
That's it.
Susan.
That's enough. Okay.
Okay, Susan.
Oh, okay. Actually, I agree with Panina about not to separate the men from the women. And the women were valued, and I understand, there some women didn't study, but they were raising the children, the next
So many, I just want to intercede and say, even in the Talmud and all these things, so many of the mitzvahs of the Torah, women are exempt from. They're not required to do them, whereas the men are, because the rabbis felt there was a difference. And the Orthodox will tell you it's because women don't need them. Women are already on a higher spiritual level, but also it was anything that had time constraints. Women were exempt from, like davening 3 times a day, things like that, because she was in the home raising the children, which was considered a very, very important thing, very important. So I'm not saying that. But they did not study Torah at all. They were told or whatever. I mean, Rashi was like unbelievable because he's taught his daughters not just Torah, but Talmud. So if you were today, yeah, we are able to study Torah, but so I'm not talking about from a woman's point of view, though I think a woman in ancient times would have said, um, sure, deeds of kindness, but they might have had some other things that the world stands on, like charity or communal support or something like that, where you take care of each other. Well, maybe that's deeds of kindness. We can go deeper into that.
men
But
did that too. They established the almshouses.
women did not
The
establish,
women did not. Okay.
but they maybe contributed or whatever.
They
But
contributed to.
but I'm asking you today in 2025, not as a woman, but just as a person and living in this world, do you think these 3 things still sustain, or are there other things that we need the world to stand on?
Well, I think these are the same, and there could be other things as well,
Like what?
Well, I don't want to be exotic here and create something else, but I think deeds of kindness, I mean, that's kind
That's
of
here. That's here.
all-encompassing. Um,
I would say one of them, making or building peace. That would be one that I would put instead of prayer.
That's a good one.
Instead of
I would
prayer.
add morals in there somewhere, teaching morals, moral
There you
behavior.
go.
Okay,
Yes.
teaching morals.
Morals,
Yeah, but
yes.
what morals? If you're a Muslim, a Christian, a Jew, a Buddhist, a Sikh, I don't know, you may have
That's
different
true.
things.
Well,
But
love
But
and kindness.
how you behave
Love
towards
and
others.
kindness.
deeds of kindness is huge. Gemilut
And
chasadim, always.
love and acceptance.
Acceptance.
Trusting and teaching again and again and again. That's it.
So, okay. I mean, I love prayer and I think it's helpful and good, but when all these terrible things happen, all these shootings, and they say, oh, we pray for we pray for the victims, we pray for the victims. Okay, you pray for the victims, but you don't change anything.
Because they don't teach it. That's the problem.
How about have
Some
respect?
people are taught that the gun
So, okay, we are
guns
going
is
to
like
look
you're
now.
right. Okay. Anyway, I'm just saying that this is what he said, and these were Torah, study of Torah, which we know it says the study of Torah leads to everything. And so perhaps in the ancient world, who knows if the world would have been even better if they had taught their daughters and, sisters and mothers Torah as well and allowed them, as opposed to, having them say, this is your role and this is our role. And I see it, okay, Panina.
My mother-in-law brought with her from Czechoslovakia a prayer book specially for women in
Yeah.
Yiddish.
Called
And
Sena
Yiddish.
Orena. Sena
And-
Orena.
Yes, and so they did study. That's not true that they didn't
They
study.
studied, but it was very
But
limited.
Marina,
Because
you're talking about this century.
this
We are
century,
talking about before.
Well, we're
Okay.
My
talking
mother
about
brought the same book.
okay,
Right.
you know what? I don't see today any difference between men or women.
not today, no. not today.
Okay,
Except
so how is it that the world changed? To which direction do you think the whole idea of yours made life or a way of life better or worse? That's
with
what I
wo-
want to know.
with women
That
having equality.
if women, I mean, we know they had the book and they learned, so they know what to do, what to talk
Okay,
about,
but
what to
yes,
teach.
they knew
So
what to
what?
do in the
So
home.
what
They
is
knew
it,
what
so
to
what is
do.
it the problem? I don't understand still. That
Okay,
it's not accepted today as well as it not was accepted in those days?
no. The books that the women read were simple books about what you should do, how to keep kosher, how to do your things in the
Also, it
home.
was a real prayer book. And
And
women
it was
did
a
go to
prayer
the
book
temple
too.
and the
And it was a
shul. They
prayer book
sat
as
in a different location together, but they did go to shul
yeah,
and
of
just sat
course.
together in a different stage. But it wasn't in a different building. They heard the same words. I
Well,
don't
was it
understand.
the same? Okay, let's
Yes,
move.
it was the same.
It wasn't the same if it was in Yiddish and the prayers for the men were in Hebrew. It wasn't the same.
Who says that the men couldn't read the Yiddish
But
ones?
they didn't pray in Yiddish.
So, what you're arguing for is total equality
The
without.
Bible was translated to many languages.
No, I'm not arguing. I'm just wondering. All I was saying is the world stands on three things: Torah, Avodah, and Gimul Avodim. It's
Anybody could read it in
Chasadim. It's
any language.
beautiful for all time. It's written in, on our walls and whatever. It's beautiful. But I was saying today in this time of divisiveness and anti-Semitism and
Okay,
brokenness,
well, this is
families and
yeah.
everything, I was wondering if the world stands on the same three things, or we need to add a few things or replace a few things. I'm just, theoretically asking if these three things still work for the world today. That's all
To
I was.
some people they do, and to some people they don't.
Well, I was asking for you, each one of you, if it works for you. You, Panina, it works for. Susan, you said it works for you.
Yeah, and I think that stress on equality, how about, I mean, I don't quote everything with the French, but vive la différence.
But I'm not talking about equality
You were
here.
talking about equality and the women have
I'm
this.
saying when this was written, I think Gemilut Chasadim was for everyone, but I think Torah and Avodah was more the men's domain when it was written 2,000 years ago. I don't think women had access. I'm not even sure women could read, most women at that time. They were, it's like, until the 1600s, the Bible was not in English. It was in Latin. And people did not know what was in the Bible. They only knew what was told to them by the priest. The priest said, this is what's written there. They didn't know. And people were burned at the stake for translating the Bible into English and having people read it for themselves. And suddenly they went, oh, wait a minute. It doesn't exactly say that, or it doesn't say this or whatever. So, but I'm just saying that I wondered but would women in the ancient world have said, well, the world stands on, family, family, and, the closeness and support of the family, community, and deeds of kindness. Maybe they would have said that, I was thinking.
I
Then
agree with
I'm
that.
Torah,
hoping.
prayer, and good deeds of kindness, because their experience would be family would be the most important thing, and taking care of your family and your children and this and that. So that's all I was suggesting, is maybe there was a different emphasis in their lives, and that might have made them value something else. Torah's for my husband. For me, it's the family. You know what I mean? Prayer, they go to shul. I'm with the women. We cook for each other. When we're sick, we take care of each other. We share recipes. We give each other clothes when you're hand-me-downs. My community is what my life makes my life meaningful. That's what I was thinking when I said that. But if that doesn't sit well with you, that's the great thing about study.
We have women
I,
today sitting as judges, sitting as lawyers, sitting as police people, sitting. they also make mistakes. We cannot
I
say
don't
that.
even know how you're saying that from what I said. I don't even get where you came to.
You're
That's what we're
saying
talking.
that today is different than what it was. I think that the laws is the laws, the same laws that were in
No,
the
I
Ten
agree.
Commandments
Even
apply to
today,
today
though,
too,
I
in every
personally,
courthouse.
okay,
It
let's move
doesn't
on.
matter if you're a woman or a man.
All right, Merle.
I'm not looking at it from the perspective of a woman or a man. I know too many people who they could care less about Torah, they could care less about service of God. Their deeds of kindness go into different realms. I mean, I'll go out and I'll do something and I'll make a donation. A lot of them will say, I'm just giving money and they can use the money however they want. So I think today, I think it may be way different than it was thousands of years ago.
So, what are the three things that the world should stand on?
I think they should stand on all three.
Well, you just said
But
that most.
but too many people that I know, unfortunately, will say, well, I can do deeds of kindness. I don't have to go after do I don't have to go out and do what you might do,
But
but
what
I'll
about
just give
prayer? What about prayer and Torah study?
I don't think they think about. I don't think the people that I'm thinking of,
But
right?
what about you? Okay.
Well, me, yes, I do believe in prayer and Torah study.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
then I've been told that that philosophy is I'm too rigid where that's concerned.
well, don't listen to that. If this,
I
okay,
I
let's,
don't. I try
I
not to.
said that kindness, thoughtfulness, and self-reflection probably could do a lot more than what the books will tell you. I think that the women maybe acted more as mothers, and the first instinct is to protect and to, yes, to teach. And I think that they sat in together to listen to the rabbis. They weren't excluded from being in the temples
yeah,
or reading the books if the parents, not everybody was Hasidic. So the word of
Hasidic,
mouth
we're
was,
talking about 2,000 years ago when this was written. There
I
was
think
not.
that they were taught the same thing as
They
the men,
weren't.
because
They
we
were
know
not.
Deborah, we
No,
know
they
about
were not.
Deborah, you know about Miriam, we know about
I know.
Sarah.
Okay, let's
We
move on. Okay,
okay,
so, all right, Panina, why don't you read number 3?
okay. Antignos of Soho or Sosho, I don't know
Yeah,
what it is.
Soho, probably.
Okay, received the tradition from Shimon the righteous. He would say, do not be as slaves who serve their master for the sake of reward. Rather be as slaves who serve their master not for the sake of reward. And the fear of heaven should be upon you. In other
Okay.
words, you teach them, you treat them as friends, as the members of the family, and that's what they did. And those,
Okay, but I don't think, are they, is he really talking about slavery? Is he
I
talking?
think so.
I don't think so. Susan, what do you think?
Well, I think there's another place in the Talmud and maybe in the Torah too. You are not to be slaves. You can be slaves who serve their master, not for the sake of reward, the fear of heaven. Being a slave to God, I think is what is here as well.
Yes, I think we saying don't be, when you do good deeds, when you follow the Torah, when you do the mitzvahs, when you practice everything we're supposed to do, don't be like a slave who does it just to get a reward, like get heaven or go to heaven or whatever you think it is. Do it not for the sake of reward because it's the right thing to do. I mean, this slave master imagery is very foreign to us because, slavery is very far from us and we don't like it. But I don't
Exactly.
think he means, I mean, they know they lived in a time of slaves. And what he's saying is there are slaves. Don't be like people who do it just to get rewarded. And they're talking about Torah. Be as someone who does it for its own sake, for the sake of goodness, for the sake of that it's the right thing to do. And then you'll have the awe of God. The fear is really awe will be upon you. Then you'll feel this connection and this elevation,
But you're supposed to let them go after 7 years.
but it's not real slaves. It's the idea that a
They are
Jew
like
in
friends,
relationship to
members
God,
of the family, yes.
it's no, it's not literally slaves. They're saying don't be like a slave who
Oh, you
serves.
yourself, I see.
Do not be as like a slave, as who does things for God. Master is God for its own sake, for reward. Don't do things for a reward. Do things because it's the right thing to do. Learn what's the right thing to do. And that's this idea of tzaddik, of being a tzaddik, of being a
That's
righteous
right.
person.
Righteous,
So
yeah.
that's what he's
Pursue
telling you.
justice, yes.
So again, these are people who lived in Babylonia and then maybe came back to Judah. They received this tradition, but so
I'm
they
listening to
lived in, well, they lived in a world
the
where they
Torah
still
study.
existed.
Can I call you back in about?
Okay, 10 minutes. Okay. Okay, now here is another one that's really interesting. So Helen, do you want to read or can you read? Can you see?
I can't see.
You can't see.
It's very small for
All
me.
right, Cindy, how about you?
Oh, now I could see.
Oh, you want to read it, Helen? I can make
Yes,
it
what
bigger.
number?
Hold on. I'll make it bigger.
Number 4.
Number 4, I'll make it bigger.
Thank
about
you.
Okay.
Yosei, the son of Yoser,
Of Saraida,
or Tsaida, and Yosei, the son of
Yochanan of Jerusalem,
Yohanan of Jerusalem, received the tradition from them. Yosei, the son of Yoser, of Tseidach, would
Trade,
say, Tseidah,
Saraida,
would say, let your home be a meeting place for the wise. Dust yourself in the soil of their feet and drink their
thirstily.
thirstily of their words.
Okay, what does that mean? What does it mean? I actually
Lit-
love this one.
Can I say how I
Yeah,
see it?
yeah, Helen.
How I see it is that listen to the wise people, read from the wise people, learn from them, accept it, even though it comes from the dust of their feet and the soil, and accept their words of wisdom.
I think dust yourself in the soil of their feet is like just be close, so close to them that you're near their feet.
Oh.
It's like be that close to them, that drink in their words, listen to what they have to say. But a lot of these teachings are very clear about who you should associate with.
Yeah.
And how associating with the wrong people can influence you. And when I think about social media today and how much we're exposed to such ugliness, such darkness, such
Bad
terrible
words.
things, and we
greediness.
let our children listen to the music, watch, I mean, honestly, I can't even go to the movies today because the previews are so violent and so horrible. Every single preview is like a monster or a killing or a blow up or a horrible. And I just think this is entertainment. This is, our culture. And here they're saying, bring this into your home, bring intelligent people, wise people, listen to what they have to say, and get that influence in your life. And I think, like Torah study is what, actually there's a group, I don't know, of women that I'm not saying I'm one of these people, but they have been meeting every week for 20 years on Tuesdays to study Torah together. They call themselves the Torah Sisters. There's 10 of them. And or not all of them come every week, but most of the time. And what they do is they have a different teacher each week of the month. Like there's 4 teachers, so each teacher comes 1 week per month. So they have 4 teachers or whatever. But this is their time where they have dinner together, They talk about things and then they study together. And you can only imagine how enriched they are and plus their relationship is very deep, but they spend time thinking deeply. And I think, when you do that, it's such an influence instead of, and I mean, I'm guilty of it too, watching videos or watching, Netflix or whatever. And here they're saying thousands of years ago, bring them into your house and dust yourself and drink from their words. So I think it's beautiful. Sir Susan.
So I want to say, aren't you doing that for us?
Yeah.
Uh,
But
I- and I really appreciate that because and I agree with you wholeheartedly, unfortunately, about culture and what has happened. But there's also something else in the Torah about holiness being a separation. It's repeated very often.
what should be a separation?
Um, one of the words for holiness was
Yeah,
to
yeah,
separate yourself
yeah,
from the surrounding cultures. And
right.
that seems to have been a major concern in the Torah for God saying, don't be like these other people around you. And a lot of it was for sexual immorality, which we certainly see in our culture today. So it's a matter of separating, not going along with that, often to our own detriment, but also what you're creating. I appreciate that and I thank you. And I hope we continue.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I think
Please,
I
please
think
do.
there's two things. You can separate yourself, but then what are you doing yourselves? I mean, okay, I'm not over there, but what am I doing here? What am I doing in my house?
You're
What am I doing in
doing,
my
You're
house?
teaching us.
doing acts of righteousness,
But I mean, I think it's also study, conversation,
Yes.
exchange of
Right.
ideas. And so I think this is beautiful because this was to all the Jews saying, everyone, you can invite someone in actually, I just got an invitation actually from, I have to answer her. I did a Shiva and this woman there who was at the Shiva, I talked a little bit about, stuff we've studied many times about the Kabbalah or something. And she said, oh my God, I don't know anything. If I got a group of my friends together, would you come to my house and teach us? And I said, yeah, sure. So we're going to do it like once a month also, once a month or something. But this is part of being a Jew. It's like saying, and also there's a great pleasure in studying together, like being in together and studying. Okay, so now here's the one. I think this is perfect. We have 4 minutes left, so we will, finish this, but you're gonna love this one. And who hasn't read? Cindy, did you just read?
I read first.
Okay, but have you read a second time?
I can.
Okay, read this one now. Wait, hold on. I have to make this smaller so I can move it up. But here's the one that kills me. Go ahead.
Yosei, the son of Yochanan of Jerusalem, would say, let your home be wide open and the poor
Go ahead. Just made it
let
bigger.
the poor be members of your household. Do not engage in excessive conversation with a woman. This is said even regarding one's own wife. How much more so regarding the wife of another? Hence, the sages said, one who excessively converses with a woman, wait a minute, causes evil to himself, neglects the study of Torah, and in the end inherits purgatory.
Wow.
How do you like that?
I don't.
I don't
Rabbi,
either. Let the poor in, but don't talk to a woman. I mean, a poor woman, a rich woman, any woman, don't have excessive conversation with a woman. This regards one's own wife. How much more regarding one other wife? Why do you think it's so interesting?
I
Well, Yossi had a problem.
He
Yeah.
did.
Let's say that for sure. But why do you think conversation with a woman was considered, he would consider that dangerous?
because
You
she
might be
doesn't know
influenced by
Torah,
that woman.
and she keeps him from studying Torah.
Okay, what did you say, Merle?
You might be influenced by something similar to what Cindy said, that that woman might be keeping you from studying Torah.
Okay, so a woman is, what's interesting is they view women as so powerful, so
Yes.
powerful. Some of these men, other men, no. Rabbi Akiba, he was all about love. I mean, and he had an amazing marriage with a wonderful wife. But these men, I think you can see so much about their own personal life, their wives, their relationships with their mothers or sisters.
Well, I think some of it is fear of seduction.
Seduction, their own inability to, control themselves. You know what I mean?
Is it a slave mentality of sorts?
I don't know if it's a slave mentality,
No,
is that, they were sexual but I mean, it's blaming the other person for your own flaws or for your own faults. It's like, I can't handle it, so I can't talk to you. And don't talk to any women. I mean, so, and you can imagine. I mean, I always read this one and went, oh my God, don't talk to your own wife too much. Can you imagine? And because a one who talks with a woman causes evil to himself and
So,
neglects the study of Torah. I mean, Susan, yeah.
yes, I think it's the fear of seduction. And in today's society, and even before, how many men couldn't keep their pants on when they're
But
when
for
they
your
were
own
women?
wife, you're talking about your own wife. You're allowed to have
Okay,
sex
all
with your
right. I think that part's excessive, but the rest, someone else's wife, very often there's these sexual trysts come with people they know too. So I think seduction is it's the
I would
men's,
agree with
and
you,
this is
except that it
defense
says,
around the Torah.
but not talk to your own wife. Come on.
Yeah, I said I don't agree with that, but someone else's wife, I mean, they know the power, that this is a repost to men who can't keep their zipper zipped. I mean,
God.
I think that they thought, and then, we're going to have to stop because it's at 1 o'clock tonight, that if you weren't talking about Torah, all of this stuff that women talked about which was very important to women, like, how are we paying the bills? What are we having for dinner? How am I doing the shopping? What are we doing? Who's coming to dinner for Shabbos? Or I don't know what to do. I only have money for one thing or the other. They thought that was a waste of time. Don't talk to me about that. I mean, it's like talking again, we say, oh, equality, but I think women were the practical ones, lived the more practical human person to person life, and they were engaged in more person to person things. And this man, because they're not all like this, felt, oh, I don't care. I don't want to deal with that. You know what I mean? You deal with it. I got to study Torah. I'm holy. And you know what? There are some extremists like that today that, they won't even look at you. I mean, there's some ultra Orthodox in Israel that didn't want women to even drive or get on a bus. You can't go on a bus. You can't, because I'll see you or something and I'll be distracted. So I'm going to leave you with this.
Oh,
But,
I think we are exaggerating on both ends a little
Yeah.
bit.
yeah, but here it is. And the next one is
Yeah,
actually
but you're taking the words of somebody that lived God knows how many years, and you think that this was the whole trend.
no, I
This
don't. I
thing-
said he had a problem, but I
I
think
know. So
they
why are we
included it.
why are we bringing all these negative ideas
It's
and
in
philosophy?
Pirkei Avot. It's in the book. It's the
it's
text.
Okay.
there.
This is
So
it.
I don't know. I can skip it.
Hanina, we have a neighbor who won't allow men in his house when his wife is home because
But
he
this is
can't he
but
can't
this is
handle the fact that
so
men
you're
might look at
taking
his gorgeous wife.
okay.
It's
So this is
reality today. This isn't
okay.
new material.
But it's not a general
Not at all, but it's
situation.
in
Benina,
Pirkei. It's
Right.
in
You
the
have
Talmud.
one in a million.
I know. All right. Well, to be continued. Shabbat shalom.
Oh,
Shabbat shalom.
thank you. This is wonderful.
And Shana
Shabbat
Tova,
shalom.
everyone.
Keep laughing. Keep laughing, you guys. That's
Shana Tova.
Keep
Shana
on-
medicine
Tova.
for
I'll see you in
everything.
shul. I'll see you all in
Okay.
shul.
Please
Shabbat
I'll
keep
be
it
shalom.
on
up.
live stream.
Okay.
Please
Thank
keep
you.
it up. Please
Bye.
keep it
How
up.
do I get out of here? Leave. Okay.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat
Be well.
shalom.
The main thing, הבריאות. The main thing, be well.
Oh, yes. Amen to that.
Amen, amen.
By the way, Pimina,